Okay, so welcome everyone to another session of our seminar series on behalf of the School of Business and Creative Industries. I'm Christian Harrison. I'm a reader in the school and also privileged to be facilitating the session of today and subsequent sessions. I think we have everybody here, and I'm glad you've all been able to make it. I know it's a very busy time in the year, and it's not easy, of course, to be committed to the series, but it's great to see a lot of faces here today. But like I always say, it's great for you to introduce yourselves. Don't be a stranger. You can use the chat box. Most times you might not have seen these people here before, so try to introduce yourself in the chat box. Tell us where you're coming from. Try to tell us where you are at the moment. That would be great. And I think it was last year, one of the presenters made the tradition saying, okay, yes, if you're comfortable with it, you can use your local language and introduce yourself. And it has always been very comical because people start to use Yoruba or use Mandarin and all that to introduce themselves either way. But it's great to have everybody here today. Of course, this is the second seminar for this term, and no pressure, it's a very important seminar, and we'll be looking at digitization experience of the UK resource constrained firms in a couple of minutes. Okay, Mary is saying hi. She's from Lanarkshire Accounting and Finance. So that we'll be looking at the moment. Of course, we know Kate is saying sunny Lanarkshire, no camera on us currently eating lunch. Okay, don't worry, you can eat lunch, Kate. Well, no pressure. So far you're happy, and so far you're listening to what we're about to say at the moment. So keep introducing yourself on the chat. So back to what I was saying. So it's the rules of the game. Please try to mute yourself while you're not talking. You can feel free to put on your cameras or put it off like Kate, but it's always great to see the faces as well. If you want to put on your cameras, that's okay. And we would, Issa is also saying hi from UWS. So we would give our speaker the time to speak. And after that, please feel free to ask him questions, and the seminar ends for 2. And so that is the schedule for today. And like I always say, in case of a fire in your house, please, if we don't have a fire alarm here, of course, then hopefully there'll be no fire in Lanarkshire that I'm currently at. But if there is any reason for you to leave your house, please, the seminar is not as important as your life. So please leave the computer and go away. And if you need to have a break, of course, you can as well. And we have Janet here, and she's our university librarian, and it's great to have Janet here as well. And she's also a professional doctorate student. And at year 3, she's finishing very soon. And we have Bernard from the division of Lanarkshire as well, Dr. Bernard Boateng. So good. So in the next few minutes, we'll be looking at, thanks Dr. Narayan Bhattarai for being part of this event. And I know when I approached Narayan for this, Narayan was like, yes, I'm going to be able to do this. And I'm glad we have Narayan here today. Narayan is meant to be on holiday today, where Narayan said, no, despite my holiday, I'm going to be here. I don't promote people taking their holidays to do this. So please, Narayan, thank you so much. And please, after this, please go back to the Bahamas and try to have fun and enjoy yourself if you're in Bahamas at the moment. Of course, I know you're not in Bahamas. Clearly, I think Temi is telling us hi as well. Temi from Lanarkshire is also saying hi. So good. So today we'll be looking at that, but let me give you a snapshot of the speaker that we have today. And Dr. Narayan, or Dr. Bhattarai, like most of you know, is a lecturer in business and management in the Division of Management and Organization and People in our university. He's also a participant in our ECR development program. He's a well-recognized contributor to promoting research, teaching, administrative, consulting, and enterprising activities within the UK. He has over 20 years of teaching and leading in higher education in the UK and overseas, so it's quite a great substantial experience. Before UWS, he has taught around different universities, from Leeds Trinity to Royal Holloway. He teaches a variety of modules in business and management for undergrads. He supervises PhD students across entrepreneurship and, not surprisingly, of course, business digitalization. He has successfully delivered Southeast networks for social science and ERSCs and industrial engagement. He engages in KTPs, and his research focuses on entrepreneurship, business digitalization, ethnic minority, and migrant-owned businesses, family businesses, and SMEs. So this is a snapshot of who we have today. He's an expert in that. But most importantly, he will be talking about digitalization experience of UK resource-constrained firms from the ethnic minority perspective. He's going to shed more light on how these businesses, how they were able to acclimatize to digitalization, especially within this current climate. Of course, with the pandemic, the emphasis on technology has changed. And how did these businesses cope with it? Dr. Narayan has done a lot of work on that, and he'll be telling us much more about it. I think I've spoken too much, really. So I'll give Narayan the stage. So thank you very much, Narayan. Thanks everybody. And Narayan, it's the time, so the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Christian, for your nice word. Probably I'm not that much as you explained just before. So, and thank you very much having me, and welcome all of you here. And nice to see you today, this afternoon. And thanks you managed to join this presentation despite your busy schedule. I know the term had just started. So I just want to share my screen and then move forward. Just to make sure if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
All right. So, okay. Without long introduction or anything, I just want to jump into the topic. As you can see here, digitalization experience of resource-constrained firm. Resource-constrained firm for this research means different small and medium-sized organizations. Mostly they have limited resources and having issues because of limitations or different barriers, those kind of industries that I refer to. Digitalization can be a bit confusing word sometimes. So there is a buzzword about digitization, digitalization, digital transformation, digital means. So for this research, digitalization means the transformation of businesses by using new digital technology. That's what it means to this research. There is a question of boon and bane. Are we having good time with this technology, or is creating problem? So what is the fact about this? As we can see in one side, evolving technological innovation and the COVID pandemic have coincided to create a volatile situation. On the other hand, we can notice that due to the adoption of technology, there is a changes in lifestyle, routine, business models, and so and so. Due to this unprecedented situation of pandemic, the importance of digitalization has accelerated much. But sadly, we can see in the context of SMEs, they are lagging behind the race of digitalization. And the smaller, the more at risk to get lost in transition. And during lockdown, you can notice from this research that 39% have increased their digital presence. However, only 5% started as a new digitalization, business digitalization. So it shows that in one hand, there is a huge potential or the necessity digitalizing businesses. On the other hand, still there is uneven practices. So why is it happening? Are there any reasons behind that? So my research motivated from this point of view. As we know that there are especially different stands. Sorry about it. Understanding this literature, just I'm trying to minimize this one. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Adoption of technology within the business is inevitable. And because of these, pandemic and technological changes or opportunities as well, previous literature mostly focus about ethnic minority entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship about their limitations, limited access to resources, language, cultural barriers, racism, and policy constraints things, portraying them like underprivileged group of entrepreneurs. In the meantime, at the same time, we can see another stand of literature that is advocating that information technology, financial, and other service sectors owned by ethnic minority people are booming or performing very well. So taking this point the consideration, I studied applying this qualitative research technique about 31 participants in different stages. So this research benefits from the longitudinal approach. It has 4 stages. Stage 1, 31 participants, and stage 2, 24, stage 3, 8, and 12 during the time of pandemic. In more detail, we can see how did I collect the data. Phase 1, the purpose of phase 1 interview using semi-structured interview questions was to capture digital experience of ethnic minority entrepreneurs with limited resources. And then second stage, data collection conducted with the purpose of corroborative insights. Once I analyze the data or interview, I transcribed them and then started looking into coding and analyzing. I did have some emerging findings. Then I had opportunities with the ESRC funding to revisit them and train them as well. And at the same time, I did share the transcript and emerging findings if that reflects well, captures their understanding or their experience. And stage 3 is about in March 2019. It is focus group discussion to look into from different methods than interview. How do they react? Their experience, do they change anything? If they are given opportunity to express their experience in the group of like 8 people. So it helped me to enhance robustness of the data. At the same time, I did have opportunity to observe them collectively in collective form as well. So stage 4 data collection, actually, honestly speaking, it was not in my plan initially. It happened when we had this unprecedented COVID crisis. Then I thought, why not to capture this opportunity? Why not to see if they have changed anything during this pandemic situation? So I decided to interview them as a four-stage interview. And at this time, I conducted telephone interview, not face-to-face. And the main aim was to capture their digitalization journey or experience during COVID experience time. So data analysis part, this data I analyzed using Atlas TI. I found this application very effective, and it helped me to find the most co-occurrence tables, using co-occurrence tables and quotation, creating memos, and developing codes. This is how I utilize Atlas TI, and I found that Atlas TI very useful, that helped to reduce the data analysis time as well. And there is always a question about validity or trust issue, or different kind of criticism about qualitative research and its rigorness. That's why I adopted GIA method, and this method gives a very good connection with the quotation. I captured the quotation, and from that quotation, you can see here, first order concept, second order themes, and aggregate dimensions. So if you can just notice here, for example, entrepreneurial behavior is influenced by ethnic values, norms, and cultural beliefs. So this is further developed and reduced to the second order themes relating ethnic values and work ethics. And that leads towards the aggregate dimension, which is about cultural belief. So likewise, adapting to change and accepting digitalization as a necessary innovation, using technology for online services, understanding digitalization in business, undergoing digital business training. These all aspects are categorized in or included in aggregate dimensions, as you can see here. From this table, I was able to build this model, a digital transformation model for ethnic minority or resource constrained firms. As you can see, these themes, they constitute three aggregate dimensions, and when they're in synergetic effect, combine together, and they help to enhance the digital transformation. This is the model that I developed as digital transformation model. Key findings from this research: uneven practice. I noticed during my research that age, there is, according to age, I've got around 40% above 50 age, and they seem to be more reluctant or more having difficulties in technology adoption process. And education and training that is oriented or supported by technology or integrated with technology is more helpful in adoption of technology than not having IT related education or IT supported education. And there is a huge gap about awareness, because technology keeps changing all the time, and needs updates. So lack of awareness is the major hindrance of technology adoption or utilization of any technology or digital innovation. Another important aspect that I found from here is matching skill. Which system or which application or which technology is to buy, which fits for my business. Because most of the time, firms having limited resources, they don't have like in-house developers or IT support team. They need to outsource it from outside, or they need to buy applications in general that is not customized to their business function. So they are having issues about matching skills. So another is about sectoral differences. There is a rigorous regulation from like departments and professional bodies like health services. To adopt any technology, they need some standardized or a criteria for those sectors, and that is more trustworthy for the business owner, and they are more tested. But on the other hand, for other businesses, they don't have like professional bodies, regulatory bodies, and especially focusing what kind of technology should be accepted or not. They are having more issues on that. And cultural embeddedness, sometimes culture has both aspects, but sometimes cultural aspects also restricting them to accept the change, because technology is all about accepting changes, changing business activities. And for example, I've got I had one respondent, and he mentioned that I'm a traditional person at heart. Coronavirus is temporary thing, and technology keeps changing. I don't want to change my business just because of that. So there is a connection between the worry into technology acceptance or change acceptance, as well as the cultural embeddedness as well. Another important aspect is about necessity versus technostress. So is it, before a decade or so, technology or digitalization, digital innovations, they were the means of choice. Anyone can adopt or not, could adopt or not. But here, in current situation, it's a necessity. It's not just the optional thing. So it is optional. It is necessity. There is a necessity, but they can't effectively utilize the technology. So that creates the techno stress. So already deficient in resources are also added with techno stress. So we are talking about benefit of the digitalization, but in fact, is digitalization helping them? But instead creating, we can see that businesses appearing and disappearing during this digitalization process. And I found that interconnection with innovation age of foundation. So for this research, and last thing is about effective digitalization relies on ethnic values, cultural inclination, digital experience, technology knowledge, and adaptability. Okay, implication. I just want to summarize it without reading all those things there. Theoretical contribution, diffusion of innovation previously developed with the concept of like diffusing technology and utilizing the technology from the adoption of technology and acceptance perspective. But it needs to be changed according to the situation. This research introduces the concept of ethnic values, work ethics, changes in adaptability. The acceptance of digitalization is necessary, that there must be a change in our thought as well. So it is necessary at the moment. It's a part of business. Understanding of digitalization as a business, the impetus to adopt technology for online business and focus training using diffusion of innovation theory. So this is the part of contribution in theoretical aspect. And even crisis time, they feel that they have to jump into the digitalization without being well prepared. So lack of preparedness, awareness, these things should be considered. And from the developer's perspective also, or the supplier side, we can think of that, whether they can address different needs of different firms, because we can easily find that some firms require more capital intensive and some not. For example, accounting professionals or firms, they are more into professional services, so they may not require huge investment. But other like textile and other industries, or even some small like garments, they need like huge investment and they can afford technology in that context. In one hand, they cannot run without technology. On the other hand, they can afford it. There is a gap in such position. So policymaker also need to focus on training, awareness, being more sectoral basis rather than just generalizing everything in one basket. And developers and software developer or program developer, they need to think from different perspective, although there are some like health perspective or any financial perspective, but they more like to be the general, and general are not generally fit for the purpose. Okay, so future research, I have started with a certain ethnic minority group, so it can be extended to the wider ethnic community or ethnic entrepreneurship entrepreneurs. And maybe we can just do some like action research or the observation, more observation in the field. How do they really feel while using technology? And this model can be verified or further validated by using quantitative techniques. And also sometimes we can compare from one sector. Is there any like significant difference between sector to sector? So that can be a future research perspective to extend this research further. Okay, so this is all. And I think I could summarize it within the given time, Dr. Christian Harrison. So thank you all. Thank you very much for your presence. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much, Narayan, for such a very informative and interesting and educative presentation as well. I can see a lot of people are really applauding you. So I found it very valuable and very informative and engaging. So I don't want to ask anything yet, but I want people to ask questions. So now the floor is open. Any questions you have for Narayan? Anything you want to ask Narayan? It was a very interesting one. So digitalization experience, and we can see already some of those things that were highlighted. I'm not surprised, Bernard, you can ask a question about it. So Bernard, over to you.
Thank you very much, Narayan. Thank you for that insightful presentation. I've got 3 questions, but I don't know if the first one is the model that you showed us. I realized that the basics were 3 main things that turned into one, And I wanted to know the weight in terms of the three bases. What were the weights? Were they spread? Did you have anything to tell us about how impactful one was to the other? That was the first question. The second one is, with ethnic minority businesses, they are very, very connected to the social network theory where they are either closed or open in terms of the network. Do you think that, in your view, the respondents they had a closed network, and could that be a reason why they were not able to allow new ideas in? Were they copying what the others were doing? And my last question is on lack of knowledge. Do you think that if they were a bit more educated than what you captured, would they have been more susceptible to digitalization? Those are my questions.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate for your question. Shall I take this first, Christian?
Yeah, take the questions. There are so many. There are three questions. So
yeah, okay.
So no
all right. So, okay, yes. Yeah, thank you very much once again, Bernard, for your questions. Yes, obviously, I can see there is a relationship in between three themes that I developed through this cultural belief, digital experience, and technological knowledge. So from here, what I understand, technology-related knowledge can be gained either by training or formal qualification. At the same time, most of the time, technology are all about practice. So long-term practice and experience trials, these things help them to better embed the technology with their business. So yes, and the first question. And the second one is about social networking. You're absolutely right. I also observed their behavior and the pattern of them. They are like in a close network, and they do like consult with their ethnic enclave people, and they have got some associations, informal associations, formal associations about buying or accepting or rejecting any digital technology. So there is a hearsay. They believe in those things. And that's why sometimes they don't bother to get help from professional people, and they face some challenges as well. And so lack of knowledge is the main reason that we can see because of that, because even they have got like very latest technology, they can't utilize them for the business purpose. So there is a waste, underutilization case as well. That is just because of knowledge gap, and some customized and targeted trainings that I recommended from here would be quite helpful. All right, so if I'm able to answer your question, Bernard.
Yes, partially, because the lack of knowledge, I wanted to see whether there is any synchronization with the educational level. So do you think that if they were a bit more educated, it would have affected their level of digitalization?
Yes, I said that indirectly, but coming to direct point, entrepreneurs with IT skills or IT education, they are more confident in using technology. And education without technology, like 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have technology integrated in the education. And those people with old kind of education system, they are having difficulties. Okay. So they're not more technology savvy in that sense. Yeah.
Thank you. And then the more question on the model, which of the three do you think was more impactful if you were able to do some weighting on that?
I didn't measure that in that way because it's all about interpretation, and I see the equal chances. Of course, previous literature indicates indicate that the education and training and experience is more relevant than that of cultural belief. But from this research, what I found that cultural belief also decides how innovative is an entrepreneur. So innovativeness and acceptance of utilization of digital technology or acceptance of change, they are correlated.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard.
So, I'm happy, Bernard, your questions have been answered, isn't it?
That's right, yes.
Good. Thanks, Bernard, for the questions. Then I think we have, I don't know who started first, but based on my screen, I'll start with Isuru.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Christian, and thank you, Dr. Narayan, for that really insightful presentation. I just had one question that I wanted to ask you. I think one of the kind of findings and sort of future avenues you suggested was that we can use innovation as a foundation for entrepreneurial activities in the SMEs. That I think that was something that was coming out of your research. I was just curious to know, although we sort of bring in the topic of innovation as a foundation, inherently for SMEs, do you think, or were there any suggestions that you were able to find with the lack of resources and other kind of difficulties was sort of not allowing SMEs to sort of do that as they like? I mean, although we are saying that is a foundation, inherently SMEs are sort of in a resource constrained environment. Was that something that was coming in your study? I just wanted to hear from you, from your experience.
Yeah, that's very relevant question. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, there is always debate about understanding this phenomena, entrepreneurship phenomena. More about we are hearing, or we are here, just entrepreneurs are innovative, or they are best utilized or opportunist or whatever it is. But in the context of this resource constrained firms or entrepreneurs, obviously they have limited resources, and they have not only limited resources but also some limitations of barriers as well. So contextual barriers, language, institutional access to resources, these all things are there, and it seems that sometimes they try to adopt technology, take risks, and bring some new business module that indicates that they are trying to be more innovative. But in the meantime, they are using their close people they don't have resources to fund them. It's like bricolage. Another philosophy of entrepreneurship, they use whatever they have got. For example, they utilize their children, if they are educated in IT or savvy people or close people. So it's a mix. But yes, digital technology has a good link with innovation. Adoption of digital technology has a good link with innovation.
Thank you, Dr. Narayan. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much.
And thanks, Isuru, for that. And I think, Timmy, then before we move to Kate.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Narayan, for that presentation. It was quite interesting, I must say. I have 3 questions. And first is, I noticed some gender disparity in your sample demography. Was there anything in particular that influenced that? That's my first question. And the second is, do you have any recommendation for businesses and entrepreneurs, any recommendation for them to embrace this digitalization, especially since you noted lack of knowledge? How can they combat that? How can they rise above such limitations? And the third one would be, how do you think that the reality of the pandemic can be taken advantage of by entrepreneurs, most especially? You mentioned, and I know you mentioned that they were forced to embrace digitalization to an extent, but how can they not just only be forced to do it, but actually take advantage of the situation to their benefit, you know? How do you think that COVID-19 helped them or would help them for the future?
Thank you, Timmy, for your very, very relevant questions. I really like these questions. Yeah, I have also considered these points about gender. Let's start with the gender. Very interesting thing is that I've got 3 couples. They involved in same profession, husband and wife. They have got 2 accounting firms, one owned by wife and one owned by husband. Similarly, another about dentistry business firm and owned by both of them, and also in one case GP as well. That is the combination of husband and wife, and it looks like they are highly educated professional in professional service. So there's a good cooperation between them and support from family as well. If we think about some other literature, they are showing less supported. Women entrepreneurs are less supported. That cannot be found there. But in case of sole entrepreneurship, it doesn't indicate anything that women are less likely to adopt technology. So yes, of course, one IT entrepreneur, she mentioned that women are still not accepted in IT businesses as compared to male, and she said that you are here to provide develop technology, and but generally, due to this wave of digitalization, she has been able to cope with such kind of challenges, and she has well established in her business. So that's the perspective I knew from this research, gender one, especially female entrepreneurship and matching professional. Yes, they can improve their digitalization because they need to come out of their ethnic enclave and try to trust the professional people who can guide them what to adopt, what technology is suitable for them. They believe that they can't afford the professional people, IT professionals, but in fact, they end up buying wrong technology, which they need to switch or change or replace. And the ultimate cost is quite high over there. So probably getting support from these professional people would help them to better include the digital inclusion in that case, and also updating them. Most of them, they mention that I've got IT guy and I don't need to know about technology, but it's not like that, because as an entrepreneur, being aware of updating themselves, there are free tools, free videos available for each and every thing, most of the things, and they can also get supported from the supplier side, like training of getting training before they buy any technology. So this will help them to utilize technology, integrate technology with their business functions. And the third thing about the reality of pandemic situation, yes, it has happened. Initially, they didn't have any option. By force, they went there. But after, when they just went online, they started getting more and more clients. And really that is helping them to develop their business further. So yes, pandemic, from business perspective, although they are detached from physical touch, digitally they are able to increase their business with the span of time. Did I answer your question? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Timmy, and of course, Narayan, for the informative answers. And the last but not the least, Kate.
Hi, yeah, thank you, Narayan. I believe that I've seen the the abstract to this, so I was kind of familiar with it, but it was more detailed today, your presentation. But you need to start taking annual leave when you're on annual leave.
Thank you.
So my question is similar to Temi's in terms of the, funnily enough, the gender aspect. And I was just wondering, is that cultural? Is that a general issue for female entrepreneurs? You know, because I know you're talking a lot about cultural impact, and then you were talking about gender. Do they go together, or are they exclusive? What are your findings been with that?
Yeah, there are some evidence. Thank you, Kate, for this question. There are some evidence from co-occurrence table. When I just try to look into those parts using Atlas TI, very few, not much. Sometimes it overlaps. Okay, in some context. For example, when I ask them, what do you do when you have any difficulties while like adopting technology, if that doesn't work, what do you do? And two responded, they mentioned that I consult with my husband. Okay, you can see clear there is a kind of link about the relationship between husband and wife. See, rather than get in touch with husband, because they both are medical doctor, they both are dentist, qualification wise they are same, but it looks like there is a bit dependency, but my data is not enough to claim that because just two of them are there. But yeah, sometimes I think I also believe that this community, they come from different contexts, and there it is believed that breadwinner or leading family person is male, so probably you can have some that kind of what the sense over there. But going back to the literature, some literature they mention about different religion, different culture, and women empowerment in entrepreneurship. I didn't find that much kind of evidence to support those things.
Okay, thanks, Narayan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate, and of course, thanks, Narayan, for the answers. I think for me, just to round up, I don't think there are any other questions. One of the things that you said was culture. I think that's what everybody has been focusing on, isn't it? And one of the things you said was for them, that it's difficult for them to adapt to change. So looking at your sample, is it, I know you said ethnic minorities, but where were they? Because was it just everybody? Because of course, when you look at the Hofstede's dimensions or the Globe studies, there are some countries that might be difficult for them to adapt to change. So do you feel that most of them were within that perspective, or do you just feel that it's just an ethnic minority thing that it's very difficult for them to adapt to change? And finally, if that is an issue, how do you think we can address it? So yeah, maybe that's just me thinking. So
yeah, coming back to my samples, they are originally, I started with my network. They are from professional people like chartered accountant, engineers. They have their own firm, and basically from Nepalese origin, and most of their education they did in their home country, and came back here and they updated their knowledge. Some of them have their double degree as well, both country degree. And then it looks like they've got a similar kind of belief about the technology in some context, not having IT qualification. This creates them kind of like tension, okay? Because they think that there is no support about updating their skill in the host environment in the country, because everything is available in general form and nothing has been designed to ethnic minority community, and they just update their knowledge using whatever freely available there. So as I suggested earlier on, designing this specific customized kind of training, especially, for example, when introducing any business or during the time of registration of business, probably, if that comes up with some packages, like, we get package for bank account opening and kind of thing, if they get update package, that will definitely help them to boost. And again, the technology has become like a rhetoric thing. It has become buzzword for everyone. It's not a magic. There must be a trade-off skill, what to, balancing physical and digital activity within the business as well. That skill is much more different than the general skills. And that's what I believe. What was your second question?
No, don't worry. I think they're all intertwined. So
Yeah.
I think it's just the major thing is, of course, is trying to see. And I think that we're talking about future research, isn't it? Because I can see a lot you can do here. I can see that you can, of course, try to educate the ethnic minority entrepreneurs, try to say, okay, yes, if they are trying to, if it's difficult for them to adapt to change, then we need Narayan to help us. I love the framework that you had there. So maybe trying to see how that framework can be put out there and people can say, okay, this is how, these are things, these are the cultural beliefs. I know it's difficult to change culture. That's the most difficult thing to change, but these are the kind of things we need to know. And hopefully can generalize it beyond that context. By the way, thank you so much, Narayan, for the very informative and interesting presentation and findings. Thanks everyone for all your questions and being here to listen to this very great presentation as well. It's great to see everybody here today. I know it's 2 spot on by 2, so I want us also finish by 2 if we can. And it's great to have everybody here. And in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be having another great presentation, and it's almost similar. They're all looking at the UK at the moment, but this is from the supply chain perspective and still looking at the UK. How do you look at the food supply chain within the UK as well? And that's coming from a scholar in Cranfield School of Management, Dr. Emmanuel Sawyer. Is going to be talking about that in the next few weeks, so don't miss that. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for everybody for being here today, and have a nice day. And Narayan, like Kate said, go back and enjoy your holiday. Take care then.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.